Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our Early America series by looking at the New England colonies. There's a worksheet down below in the description that goes along with this video, and I will do my best with any challenging pronunciations, but I will not be perfect. During the 1500s, people in Europe were not allowed to practice religion freely. Western European Christians were divided into two groups, Protestants and Roman Catholics. To clarify, the Protestants were not one particular religion. To name a few, there were Lutherans, Calvinists, and then there was the Church of England. People were generally expected to follow their ruler's religion. People who did not do so were often persecuted or mistreated because of their religious beliefs. I'm glad that's over with. Mostly. One religious group that faced persecution was the people we now call the Pilgrims. Pilgrims are people who travel long distances to find a place where they can live and worship as they choose. The Pilgrims were known as separatists. They wanted to separate from the Church of England. Some separatists settled in the Netherlands to practice Christianity in their own way. One separatist group left the Netherlands because they thought their kids were getting too Netherlandish. They headed for America in 1620 on the Mayflower, headed for Virginia. Storms along the way blew them off course and drove them north to Massachusetts. Now, they were outside the realm of the Virginia Charter and would have to set rules. Not all aboard were Pilgrims, and the non-Pilgrims were afraid of being persecuted and or having to live under their strict rules. So, before going ashore, 41 men signed the Mayflower Compact, the first document in which colonists pledged to form a united government. The group called their new settlement Plymouth. Half the colonists at Plymouth died that first winter from hunger or disease. A local American Indian, Squano, showed them how to catch eels and to plant corn, beans, and pumpkins. The Pilgrims held a feast to give thanks. This event is celebrated today as Thanksgiving. Another religious group, the Puritans, they are not the same as the Pilgrims, wanted to reform, not separate from the Church of England. Its members included powerful merchants and lawyers. In the 1620s, King Charles I, who disagreed with the Puritans, canceled Puritan business charters and had some Puritans jailed. In 1629, a group of Puritans formed the Massachusetts Bay Company. They wanted to build a new society in North America based on biblical laws and teachings. They wanted to create an example for others to follow. A group of more than 1,000, led by John Winthrop, arrived in Massachusetts in 1630. The colony eventually created an elected assembly, the General Court. Adult male church members elected the General Court and the colony's governor. Religious disputes in Massachusetts led to the formation of new colonies. Minister Thomas Hooker left Massachusetts Bay with about 100 followers in 1636 and founded Hartford on the Connecticut River. In 1639, the group wrote a plan for their government called the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. It gave all male property owners the right to vote, including those who were not church members. This was different from Massachusetts, where you had to be a diehard Puritan to get to vote. It also limited the governor's power. Another minister who challenged the leaders of the Massachusetts Bay was Roger Williams. He believed the Massachusetts church had too much power. Forced to leave Massachusetts Bay in 1635, he moved to Narragansett Bay and founded a new colony there, called Rhode Island. Rhode Island protected freedom of religion and gave all white men the right to vote. Anne Hutchinson, a strong, fiery woman of Boston, questioned some Puritan beliefs. A woman doing this at this time freaked out the dudes, so she was put on trial in 1637 and forced out of Massachusetts. She and her family and friends settled in Rhode Island. As colonists increasingly settled in New England, they took over more American Indian lands. Fighting soon broke out. In 1675, the chief of the Wampanoag, Metacom, also called King Philip, probably because it was easier to pronounce, he fought English expansion. Some other Indian groups joined him. The conflict, known as King Philip's War, killed hundreds and destroyed 12 towns. In 1676, Metacom was killed. The war came to an end, but conflict between settlers and Indians continued for years to come. Puritans believed that towns and churches should govern themselves as a community. Each Puritan town set up a town meeting or an assembly of townspeople that decided local and church issues. New England families earned their living by farming, fishing, and shipbuilding. The soil was gravelly, and the weather made it hard to focus on agriculture. Though the Puritan tradition declined in the 1700s, the ideas of Puritans and Pilgrims, such as those about representative government, continue to influence American values and identity. To recap, remember, there is a difference in Pilgrims and Puritans, both in their beliefs and in where they set up their colonies. The Pilgrims were in Plymouth, and the Puritans were in Massachusetts. The Pilgrims and some other dudes signed the Mayflower Compact before getting off the boat. Lots of them died, and Squanto saved them. Now we eat turkey in November. The Puritans were hardcore strict, so people left or got kicked out and set up the other New England colonies. They focused on fishing and shipbuilding because the weather and soil sucked. And that is the New England colonies nutshell. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. Don't forget to go nuts on the like and subscribe buttons. If the Pilgrims and the Puritans had a rap battle, who do you think would win? Think of some appropriate rap lines and let us know in the comments down below.